Hey everybody, it's Jennifer, and I'm here again today with you for the next video in the Embodied Grace, A Woman's Path to Empowerment book series. And I'm so excited. This is one of my favorite parts to talk about. This is the chapter called What Are You Thinking? So this is where, I just talked about a little bit about the nasty little mean girl in the previous video. And I really like to dive into this because this is where what I call the nasty little mean girl, right? That little voice that comes in and tells us what to do. And because how we talk to ourselves is one of the biggest factors in our happiness and our success overall. And this is because the nasty little mean girl is going to show us all of the beliefs that we have that want to keep us down. Now, the nasty little mean girls can say things like, you can't do anything right. Nothing works out for you. Why do you think you're not good? Or why do you think you're good enough for that? There's all of these little things that can come up. Now, this is the nasty little voice in our head. I've had some of my clients that actually named her and they're like, okay, Sharon, don't talk right now. Or okay, Ruthie, don't talk right now. Like you can name her whatever, or you can just call it the nasty little mean voice or whatever. Now we can go way deep into this, right? This could be where shadow work comes in. This could be where a lot of deep healing work or inner child work. But for this book is really just like the tip of the iceberg when it comes to learning how to create a life you love, right? But this is really powerful steps you can take to get you ready to do the deeper work. So for this, I just want to talk about the nasty little mean girl. And in the beginning, you just need to get her to shut up. Right? So any of these negative beliefs that are coming up, if these little self-defeating thoughts pop in and they're not supporting you in a positive way of whatever it is you're trying to create, right? Because this book is all about creating a life you love. So if you've been doing the work so far and you've got in your mind, okay, I want this experience in my life, I'm going to be intentional about it. I understand that I need to take care of myself so that I can make these choices. I'm in self-awareness. I'm practicing self-awareness. I know what my body feels like. So I know what feels good to me of what I'm supposed to do and what I want to do, not supposed to, but what you're being guided to, what you're being called to, right? And then this nasty little mean girl comes in and wants to crush it all, right? So she's the one that is going to say that you're not worthy or that you're not good enough or that you can't do it. And I honestly, a lot of the women that I worked with, well, almost every woman that I work with has some level of unworthiness. I just feel like it's just a female thing that we all have trouble. And it could just be across the board. It could be men too. I just don't work with as many men, but I just feel like we have this inner feeling that we really can't have what we want or that we're not worthy of the life that we want to live. And that's so not true. That's so not true. So when we're looking at this chapter of what are you thinking, this is where we've got to look at these beliefs, okay, or these thoughts. This is where limiting beliefs or negative thoughts or, whatever term you want to put here. It's what's the mind chatter that you're having that's holding you back, right? This can be like, okay, you've done all the beginning parts of this book, and now you're like, okay, I want this life, and I'm going to be self-aware, and I'm taking care of myself. And now all of a sudden you're like, oh, I can't do that because, and that comes back to the excuses, right? Which is kind of why I do those first, because when you go through that first, you kind of already know it's coming. So again, you guys, this can be so many little things that have built up throughout the years, right? So one of the examples in the book is like, when somebody is like 5 years old and you really want a toy and then mom or dad says no, and your little 5-year-old brain thinks you're not good enough to deserve the toy, but really that doesn't have anything to do with it. Maybe they didn't have the money, or maybe that you were in a hurry. Maybe they were even sidetracked and they weren't really paying attention. Like there's so many different things. But in your mind as a little 5-year-old, it could translate to I'm not good enough. So then what happens is the older we get, anytime we don't get what we want, it can come into this idea of I'm not good enough. So we've got to look for those little hidden limiting beliefs and negative beliefs that we've imprinted, right? Again, nobody's fault. One of the things that ran in my family was negativity, like nothing was ever good enough. It's nobody's fault. It just literally was passed down. It's just a bad habit that's been passed down. And so, and of course, when you find out where it came from, you think back to however many generations back, probably that was the reality because that was in the depression and all of the stuff. And so of course that makes sense. But here's the thing, our brain creates these channels of how we think. And you can look this up. If you look at like the way the neural pathways in our brain works, it will be ingrained. The beliefs that you have can be ingrained into you for a lifetime, but you have the power to change it. So for example, a fire is hot, it burns, don't touch it. That is a good brain habit. That is a really good thing that's been ingrained into your brain that you want to keep, right? But if it's something like, I'm not worthy, don't try anything new because I'll get hurt, I won't get it, it'll be a disappointment. That's not a good habit to have. That's not a good brain habit to have. And so what we want to do is start interrupting that internal dialogue that sounds like that. Okay. This is just like learning to ride a bike, you guys. Once you do it over and over, you don't even have to think about it anymore. The same is true for our thoughts. Okay. So if you start consciously thinking about what you really are thinking about or the thoughts that you have, you may be surprised because you really can go down that rabbit hole of self-defeating thoughts pretty easily. So I just want you to take a couple days. And again, you guys, be in this space of non-judgment. This isn't about judging the thoughts that you have. This is about discovering. Okay. This is about going on this self-discovery and listening to that nasty little mean voice that comes in and says, you can't do that. It's not good enough. Right. And just start looking at these thoughts, start noticing, start being in awareness. Like, how often do you have those thoughts? Are you even aware of them, or is it just a soundtrack that goes in the back of your head? Did you realize that you can change them? Like, some people don't realize you can change that soundtrack in your brain. Like, you really can. And it's about practicing the new thought. So when you're looking at and thinking about the things that you're thinking about, can you see that if you think about changing those thoughts, is that going to be beneficial for you? So I love this quote by Wayne Dyer, and it is in the book, and it says, self-worth comes from one thing, thinking that you are worthy. And you guys, that is it. We've got to change the soundtrack in our brain. And for right now, you just want to you just want to interrupt the nasty little mean girl. And then we'll start working on how to, retrain your thoughts and change the way that you're thinking, because that is so powerful. It's not the end all be all, of course. Like I said, this book is the tip of the iceberg. It's just helping you get started on this journey. But it's definitely the place to start. So sending you guys lots of love, and I'll talk to you on the next video.